time passes really fast with people you love. And so the more time you can spend having those experiences now, it's really worth it. Don't delay happiness.
You're listening to Financial Grownup with me, certified financial planner Bobbi Rebell, author of How to Be a Financial Grownup. And you know what? Being a grownup is really hard, especially when it comes to money. But it's okay. We're going to get there together. I'm going to bring you one money story from a financial grownup, one lesson, and then my take on how you can make it your own. We got this. Hey grownups, if you are like me, you love to read, but if we're being honest, it doesn't happen. The time just flies and the intention does not become reality. So do what I do. Get the intel you want in a way that matches your schedule. I recently started using the Blinkist app and I love it. It puts the content of books that you want to read into powerful summaries called blinks, usually just a minute at a time. A whole book can be 15 minutes-ish, just like this podcast, right on your favorite device. Text or audio, totally fits your lifestyle. I am obsessed. Go to bobbirebell.com/Blinkist for a free trial and to support the show. Love that open from my friend, Samantha Ettus. Don't delay happiness. Words we should all take to heart when we get super busy with the day-to-day and when we are hyper-focused on meeting our financial goals. Because really, is there ever enough money? Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here. If you are new, we talk to high achievers who share meaningful money stories that made a big impact in their lives. And in this case, Samantha Ettus, who is now the CEO of Park Place Payments, brings a great and just a really fun story. Very inspiring for those of us who have not seen her on TV and quoted all over the media. Samantha has been a best-selling author for years and an expert in really life, everything. Such great advice always comes from her. She wrote the Expert's Guides and most recently, The Pie Life. Now she is building a business that some of you might be interested in being a part of. Stay to the end for her special offer just for financial grownups. But first, here is Samantha Ettus. Hey, Samantha Ettus, you're a financial grownup. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Bobbi. It's so great to be here.
This is an honor for me because I have been a huge fan of yours for many years. I've learned so much from your many books. Most recently, I should tell everyone you're an author of a number of bestsellers. Most recently, The Pie Life, a guilt-free recipe for success and satisfaction. You also wrote the Expert's Guide series. And also, by the way, you're very smart, Samantha. I'm going to embarrass you a little. You have both an undergrad and MBA degrees from Harvard. You're also a world-class tennis player. And now you're adding entrepreneur and CEO to your resume with Park Place Payments.
Which is my most important title.
Yes, always. Wait, so tell us quickly, before we get to your money story, tell us just a little bit about Park Place Payments, and we're going to come back to it afterwards.
Sure. It's a payment processing company that works with small businesses. Well, actually, we just signed our first Major League Stadium. So any size businesses that takes credit cards and we help them with their payment.
You signed a stadium?
Yes. We signed our first Major League Stadium, which is exciting.
Wait, which one? Can you tell us?
Yeah, it's actually in Virginia. It's Loudoun, which is the junior team of DC United, which is an MLS team. So it's really exciting.
You are big time.
Yeah. So that's exciting. And basically what I learned over time is like any business that takes credit cards, whether it's a hair salon or a doctor's office, has this intermediary between the credit card companies and the business. And right now the intermediary is pretty not diverse. And so we've created the first ever mostly women's sales force in the industry using kind of this sales force of women that's been on the sidelines that, had left the workforce and wanted to get back in, or people that want a more flexible career.
Excellent. And that brings us to your money story, because you're all about flexibility so that you make sure to have that balance in life, going back to the whole pie life concept of making sure that you include all the things that are important to you in the right proportions. You have always been very good about figuring out how to make that balance work, including paying for vacation. Tell us your money story.
Oh my gosh, this is you're the first person I've shared this with on air, but this is a little bit embarrassing. That's okay. We go way back, so I'll share with you. But I was pregnant with my third child and I had two little ones, Ella and Ruby, who were both under age 5 at the time. And spring break was coming up. We were in a very small New York City apartment. It was 1,400 square feet. And I was freezing and just exhausted. And I said to my husband, where are we going to go spring break when the kids are off? And he was like, what do you mean? You have a book coming up that you have to work on. And I have this business I just started and there is no budget for a vacation. I kind of have my own version of like an adult temper tantrum where I was crying and emotional and pregnant, very pregnant, and just beside myself that there was no way to get out of Dodge, basically. So basically we got in this argument and he said, well, if you can figure out how to do it for free, I'll take the time off. I said, okay, I'm going to do it. The first thing I did was get online, and this is ridiculous, but
so
I looked
I can tell this is basically how Samantha Ettus gets a vacation for free. Okay, go.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you for titling it. So basically, I quickly got online and decided I was going to enter a contest where you could win a vacation for free. That was a total dead end.
Or just enter the lottery, Samantha.
Right,
Why
exactly.
not?
If we're going down that path. Good stats there. And then I went on these home swapping sites and saw so many exciting homes. And I thought, well, I can stage this apartment. I went to the flower store. I basically had completely staged the apartment and photographed it by the time the day was over. And that night, we had 15 to 20 offers of home swaps. There's all these websites where you can just house swap. You have to sign up and do all the things and you barter and people will immediately start making offers. Like, do you want my flat in Paris if I can have your flat in New York City? I mean, that's literally what it was like. And it has to be compatible dates, but you type in your dates. I mean, these sites are really sophisticated at this point. So we ended up swapping. By the next week, we had our spring break planned. We used frequent flyer miles to go to Newport Beach, California. There was a family there of 5. They had a brand new home. I looked it up on Google. I even Googled the owners to make sure they were legit people. She was like a VP at some company. And so I knew she was like a real person and I could find her on LinkedIn. She actually left her car, which was an SUV, at the airport for us so that when we landed, we had her car for the week. The only thing I had to do was feed her fish, which my little kids thought was so exciting. And we had a 1-week vacation in Newport Beach. It was completely free.
And she let you drive your car?
Her car. Yeah.
Her car? Oh my goodness.
And by the way, the one thing we did was we had a housekeeper come right before they came to our apartment and right after they left. So for us, you wouldn't have even noticed that they were there. It did not impact our apartment at all. We left their apartment in good shape and they left ours in great shape.
So what is the lesson for our listeners from this story? Besides, by the way, what is the website that you used, if you remember?
I think it was homeaway.com.
Okay.
I think it was homeaway.com, but otherwise it was just the number one house swapping site, whatever that is. You can just Google it. But
have you done more, by the way, since then?
We haven't done more. And the other lesson I think is—
Wait, why not?
Because we actually fortunately got into a position where we didn't need to do a house swap for a vacation. We found other ways to pay for the vacation. You know, the other thing is we were in a New York City co-op and like, but you're not really supposed to be house swapping in a New York City co-op. So it was a little bit like tricky. But it's many years later, so I think I'm safe to share that with your listeners. But at the end of the day, nobody, it all worked out beautifully. I think in general, we had a great situation. Their house was not as clean as I would have liked it to be. It wasn't as clean as a hotel would be. There were certain things that weren't perfect, but it was as close to good as you could get. I think the lesson is just you can always figure it out. But the other lesson is to always keep that vacation money aside, like figure out either a side hustle or figure out a way to put away money for vacation. Because at least in my family, like we're a 2-income family. My husband and I are both working and our vacations are so important to us because it's a lot of quality time with our kids. And so, especially as our kids are getting older, we care so much about that time. And I think prioritizing vacations as a family is a really good use of your money because those experiences are more valuable than things.
And I'm so glad you said that. It reminds me of the question that Warren Buffett got from a child recently asking about how to suppress his desire to, for example, go on vacation I think they were talking about Disney, or Warren Buffett brought up the idea of Disney, that you can say you want to save up for a 7-day trip to Disney, but then by the time you've saved up for 7 days, your child is not the right age anymore or the age that you wanted to go. So maybe it's better to go for a 2 or 3 day Disney trip. Or in your case, maybe it's better to go on a home swap and go on the vacation rather than just not. rather than waiting for the perfect time when you're completely financially able to afford your dream vacation. You have to live your life.
And the other thing about that is like, it's the same thing as people saying, well, it's not the right time to have a baby. It's not the right time to fall in love. It's not. The bottom line is life doesn't work that way. And if you fall in love, go for it. If you want to have a kid, you'll figure it out. There's no perfect time for any of this, but I do think that time passes really fast with people you love. And so the more time you can spend having those experiences now, it's really worth it. Don't delay happiness.
Don't delay happiness. Excellent point. On that note, your everyday money tip has to do with really protecting your time.
Yes, I think it is critical to think of your time as money. So for example, this is just a little small example. A part of my team yesterday was ordering lunch because we had a big conference call. And one of my employees who focuses on the budget was like, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. And someone said, well, I'll just go get it. And I was like, hold on 1 second. The amount of money we're saving for you to go get it, for you to be gone from the office to go get it for 45 minutes is actually not worth the $8 we're saving. And so sometimes we forget that time is money. And that's just a micro example at work. But then at home, it's I will meet so many people who think it's better to not spend $40 on a housekeeper once a week or $50 on a housekeeper once a week instead of doing it themselves. But what could you be doing in that 4 hours? Could you be working on a side hustle or that business idea you've always wanted to start? There's so many things you could do at that time. Or is it maybe worth it to spend that time doing something alone with your child? I think it's pivotal to think of time as money, and pretty much time is more valuable than any other thing you have. So, use it wisely.
And one thing you are doing with your time is growing and expanding your newest baby, Park Place Payments. Tell us more about not only about that, but the opportunities that come from it, not just for you, but also for the broader community of people that you're trying to reach.
Well, I've always been really passionate about financial independence, especially for women. We hear so often, oh, we're so lucky I can afford to take time off, right? I'm so lucky that I'm able to stay home with the kids. Unfortunately, most of the people that say those things end up in circumstances they don't expect, whether it's a relationship that doesn't work out or illness or something worse. It's just life doesn't turn out often the way we expect it to. And if you leave the workforce for just 2 years, there's less than a 50% chance you'll ever get a full-time position again. So in many ways, it really jeopardizes your financial future forever. So the one population of people I was never able to help and very frustrated about not being able to help were women who left the workforce and wanted to get back in. And I recognized that so many of them were stuck kind of selling things to their friends, whether it was essential oils or whatever it was, makeup. I thought, why aren't these women doing something that really utilizes their professional backgrounds? And I've had this front row seat to the credit card processing industry, which is now called payment processing, and recognized that there were so few women in it. And so I spent last year training women in 6 different cities just to confirm that they were able to sell credit card processing, and they killed it. And so based on that, I raised a seed round of funding and hired this A-list team. And we also started boarding account executives with our online training academy so that someone anywhere in the country can now become a Park Place account executive at parkplacepayments.com. So we launched Park Place Academy, and we now have almost 80 account executives. We'll have 200 by the end of this year, and we'll be into 4 figures by the end of next year. And we're just growing really fast. These women who work for us. Now we have a couple men too, actually, which is awesome. They're achieving financial independence on their own time with flexible schedules. Some people work full time and some people work 4 hours a week. It's just based on their lives. And the diversity of people who've joined us is really remarkable. We have Olympic gold medal athlete, former athlete. We have, former school teachers, marketing executives, people in all different fields. And it's definitely really exciting. And, people say to me, oh, you used to be on the Today Show all the time. This is so unsexy compared to what you used to do. And I'm always like, women's financial independence is the sexiest thing I could ever be working on. So I love it.
And by the way, I feel like you've been on a lot of shows like Good Morning America and Today Show, even very recently, and you will again. So friends, if you've seen her there, you will see her in all the shows, I'm sure, just talking about this instead of all your books, or maybe your next book, which will be about this adventure that you're on. Tell people how they can get in touch with you and maybe be part of this and also just follow your adventures.
Sure. They can go to parkplacepayments.com and they can reach us there and join us there. And I would love to hear from everyone.
And what are all your socials for you personally and the company?
Sure. They can follow me on Twitter at Samantha Ettus or Instagram, Samantha Ettus, Facebook, Samantha Ettus. My website, my weekly work-life newsletter is samanthaettus.com. And then Park Place, we have a robust Instagram account at Park Place Payments. And our Twitter is at Park Place Power.
And I do want to add, everyone should sign up for your newsletter because it is the best in the business. I have been really, really lax with my newsletter, but I always tell my assistant when we get it going, we need to make it something like Samantha's because you really set a wonderful high bar. It's always such a great read. And I'm honored. I was once featured in it. So everyone should make sure to sign up. If nothing else, sign up for Samantha's newsletter. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Before we get to my take on the interview, I just want to share one of my secrets with you guys and some big news. As you know, I read a ton of books and I love it. But between running my business and all my family stuff, I don't have the time to read all the books that I want. And the book piles on my nightstand have been getting bigger and bigger because I intend to read them, but it just isn't happening. So then recently I discovered Blinkist. It's an app. It takes all the nonfiction books that I want to read, from classic business books to, if we're being honest, books by some of my current top authors that have been here on the podcast. It pulls out all the main points that matter into what they call blinks. They're about a minute long, entire books, 15 minutes, kind of like this podcast. Maybe they were listening to me. I don't know. Anyway, I reached out to them and I am so excited that they are now a partner of the Financial Grownup podcast. So please take a minute and go to bobbyrebell.com/Blinkist for a free trial. By using the link, this is really important. You help to support the show. So thank you. Go to bobbyrebell.com/Blinkist. Here we go. Financial Grownup tip number 1. Samantha talks about the cost of being out of the workforce, but with so many entrepreneurial ventures these days, how that is defined is changing. So you may work for yourself and not be in a traditional job and think you are good to go. And you are good to go to an extent, but you need to make sure that if you are not working for a corporation that gives you benefits, you are also paying yourself the benefits that you would have had. And specifically, I want to focus on retirement savings. Many full-time jobs have some kind of plan, often a 401k with a match. If you do something yourself, for example, for the flexibility, something like Park Place Payments, make sure you calculate more than just your salary when you are figuring out how much you are really making. And make sure you set up a retirement plan for yourself and you fund it consistently. Financial Grownup tip number 2, go on short vacations if you are on a budget. My family wanted to go to Iceland. It is crazy expensive. We went for 4 days. We had an amazing time. And if you can pay for part of it, by the way, with points and so on, do it. Don't save it all up for the most amazing, round the world trip when you get old. Just use it now. Don't save it for when the time is perfect. Do it. I'm looking at my 12-year-old and wondering how he is 12 years old. And I am so happy that we have gone on the trips that we've gone on. And my only regret really is that we haven't done more adventures as a family traveling. Okay. As promised, Samantha is giving Financial Grownups a special offer. If you guys are interested in being part of Park Place Payments as an account executive and learning more about that. So to access your path to financial freedom, go to her website, parkplacepayments.com, and you can join the family of account executives. There is a one-time course that you have to take, and there is a fee associated with that, but you can receive $100 off Park Place Academy when you enter the code Financial Grownup. Let me know how it goes. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. This show is for you. I want to hear more about what you want to hear more about. So please DM me on the socials. Let me know what topics and what guests you are most interested in hearing on the podcast. On Instagram at BobbyRebel1, on Twitter at BobbyRebel. Big thanks to Samantha Ettus for helping us all be financial grownups. Financial Grownup with Bobby Rebel is edited and produced by Steve Stewart and is a BRK Media production.